We're doing it now?
We're recording the Roundabout cast right now, Bradley, live right now.
Well, it's
As
not
we
live.
speak.
As you breathe and leave.
Look at all this great content you're missing out on.
Hi, welcome to Roundabout 31. I'm your host, Willer.
I am a absorbent, porous, yellow Bob who lives in a pineapple under the sea, whose name is Bradley.
I'm a chief card critic, Joseph Lloyd, also but head vampire critic as well.
I'm Tyler and I like Pepsi.
I did not look at the schedule this week.
The schedule, I mean, we'll figure it out.
I do not know what we're talking about.
So, Joe's gonna start us off by talking about Dracula, and we're gonna do Stardust Crusaders finally. And then there's gonna be something in the middle, and that something is a wild card to where we haven't decided. But
so this isn't like early 1900s silent film Dracula. This is like a Netflix thing, right?
Yes.
yeah, Joe, let's go right into it. What are you actually talking about here? Because I don't know.
I'm very excited to hear about this.
All right. So Netflix got a deal to be the ones that host that had the streaming rights for the new Stephen Moffat series Dracula. If you don't know who Stephen Moffat is, he is the one that did the Doctor Who revival a few years ago.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. He's also the person that created Sherlock.
No shit.
Yeah. So this is one of his series.
All right.
If you've seen one of his series, you realize they're all the same.
Is Sherlock like Doctor Who? Because I find that hard to believe.
They're all the same in that the characters, it has the Avengers effect where everyone's the exact same character basically in terms of personality types. Everyone makes quick jokes.
Yeah.
There's a cut and paste method to it.
I never heard that effect as you said it described, but after you said it, I was like, yeah, I can kind of see it.
Yeah. So I'm gonna come out and say this. I don't think the show is good.
Oh no!
Joe's coming out on stream.
Oh no.
Congratulations, Joe. You're very brave.
I know. So the show is 3 episodes long. They're each about an hour to an hour 20 minutes long, which is pretty long.
That reminds me of Sherlock even more, where they would release like 2 episodes and then you'd wait a year or 2.
Yeah, Sherlock does like 3 episodes a year and then goes off for 5 years and then gets 3 more episodes. So the story takes the classic tale of Dracula and puts a Stephen Moffat twist on it. So I've seen his other shows. So when the series starts out, it starts out in like the 1800s, like when Dracula takes place. I'm like, oh, we're not gonna do a modern version of it. We're gonna just go through a regular like Dracula tale that's gonna be set during this time. And the first episode I really enjoyed. Like I thought it was a fun time. It's basically Dracula is in his castle and he invites this guy over named Jimmy to kind of get his like law affairs in order. Like, I'm old and decrepit. I'm gonna die soon, so we need to start writing my will.
His lawyer Jimmy, who's writing him a will.
You're telling me there's a guy in the 1800s named Jimmy.
You're telling me Jimmy McGill was in the 1800s in the show.
His name isn't Jimothy.
No, his name is not Jimothy.
Should be.
Jimothy.
Fucking should be.
Alright, so he invites Jimmy over, and I want to make sure. Oh, I'm sorry. His name's not Jimmy. His name's Johnny. His name is Jonathan.
Okay.
Johnny Test.
Better.
So you're telling me Jonathan Joestar is with a vampire,
Yes.
or Johnny Joestar?
So, what's cool about the first episode, the first 2/3 about it, is that it's essentially his name is Johnny in the show. They call him Johnny. Is that he's alone in this castle with Dracula, and he's slowly going crazy, and he doesn't understand why. And as the episode continues, Dracula is getting more and more and more like youthful because he's just slowly draining Johnny of his energy. And Johnny finds like all this weird stuff going on. Like he finds zombies in the attic. He finds a baby vampire that's a zombie. All this other stuff. And eventually, like Dracula's just like, "Yep, I'm a vampire. I have to go kill everyone in England now." and then some things happen, and Johnny ends up getting turned into a zombie, and makes his way into a nunnery being run by Sister Agatha. There's also in the between this episodes, like they're having like an interview kind of thing where Agatha is asking what happened at Dracula's castle. So now we're caught up at the present, and it's revealed that Agatha is Agatha von Helsing.
Ooh.
Which was the first kind of big red flag for me.
Isn't there a show called Helsing about female Helsing?
No, there's an anime called Helsing about Helsing.
Yeah.
But there's a female vampire hunting show.
I'm gonna. What is the Helsing reference? Because I said ooh, but I was being a fraud.
So
I don't really know.
Tale, there was an old man named Dr. Van Helsing that was the one studying vampires and told them how to kill vampires.
Okay, cool.
So since then, Van Helsing's always been kind of
a vampire hunter.
Right. But he's always been an old man, and old men aren't very charismatic when it comes to movie screens and so forth.
So he's gonna be a hot girl now.
A nun.
Hot nun.
So they go. Dracula tracks down Johnny, who escaped his castle. Bunch of shenanigans ensued. And during this time, they're introducing all the vampire like mythos about him. Like it's all the classic stuff. Like he's like light hurts him, stakes will kill him. He doesn't like crosses.
Has to be invited into a home.
Yes, and that's a big one. That's what I really like.
Cannot cross running water.
Cannot cross running water.
Garlic.
Has to have his own soil to sleep on when he goes to bed.
Yes.
In a coffin.
Allergic to garlic.
Allergic to garlic. Like these are all.
I stretched really hard and I groaned into the microphone, and I just know everyone's gonna listen to that and be like, "What the fuck was he doing?" Or I just wanted to explain myself for the people out there.
So
I didn't even hear you. I think you're good.
That they were introducing those things, because I feel like a lot of times modern interpretations of vampires want to cut those things out, but I think those are really key to make what a vampire is metaphorically.
Those are the most fun parts. Well, metaphorically, what does a vampire mean to you, Joe?
So metaphorically, a vampire is supposed to represent someone that feeds off of society and tries to climb its way up in society off of feeding off other people in their position.
Like those filthy garlic haters.
Right.
Right.
So like the idea behind the vampire mythos, all these steps are essentially ways that you would protect yourself from a vampire in both real life and in like metaphorical sense of like a monster. Like the first things first is like if you don't let them into your house, don't let them into your lives, they can't harm you. If you're of goodwill and good morals, bearing a cross, you're going to prevent them from corrupting you. Let's see, what else? I don't know about the garlic part.
It's just fun.
Yeah, it's just fun. But like, you know, and the big thing about the stake is that they're mortal. Like, you can kill them by just stabbing with a piece of wood. And that they can't be in the sun because they have to do things at night. Vampires will never harm you. Vampires never come out when you're at your brightest moment. They'll always come out at your lowest moment, night and day, that kind of stuff. So, like, that's kind of like the idea behind the literature sense of a vampire. Like, okay, cool. So episode 1 ends. I'm like, all right, I'm enjoying this. Episode 2 happens, and I'm just like, Episode 2 takes place on a boat, and basically it's a murder mystery of Dracula killing people on the boat. The problem being is, since it's a film, you already know who Dracula is because you're like, oh, that's the guy that plays Dracula. That's Dracula. He's killing everybody. And they don't try to hide it either. It's just mainly like him toying with passengers and so forth.
Okay.
That episode was really boring. I'm not gonna lie. I just really did not enjoy it as much. And then, so at the end, I'm after watching this and thinking about it, Araki really did just take the story of Dracula and then just twisted a few things around for part 1.
Araki of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure fame.
Yes.
In case
because
you don't know.
The end of this episode is the ship catches in flames and Dracula gets into his coffin and sinks to the bottom of the sea.
Oh.
He's trapped there.
But there's 2 coffins, and Erina is in one of them. And
yeah.
that explains that.
Yeah. So here's the part that made me roll my eyes, is that Dracula wakes up again, and he's in a modern setting now. and I'm just like,
Ugh.
oh, no.
Well,
Okay.
I feel like that could be an interesting season too. But from what you just say, felt like they didn't even try with the 1800 setting.
Yeah, and like you have 3 episodes, so you do 2 of your episodes in the setting, and then the last episode you're just like, oh, we'll just put it in modern.
Oh,
London.
you said this is 3 episodes total?
Yeah,
Oh, this is British as fuck.
yeah.
Oh, okay, I see.
And then it turns out that Agatha Helsing had was an aunt of someone else, and then now her great niece is the head of the vampire division of England or something like that.
Are you telling me that they've been like having a cult hunting vampires when there's only been one the entire time? It hasn't been around for
They had
like.
government budget too. Like they had helicopters and armored
Wait,
trucks. and they
Wait,
had-
there hasn't been more vampires than Dracula? There's not like what?
Nope.
You've got to be kidding me.
And they have
Nope.
a vampire division.
Yep.
This is like if the Belmonts like didn't fight any other monster and just existed to kill Dracula, except
Yep.
not written even well at all. Oh,
I'm gonna
Yep.
make my own vampire division in real life, and we're not gonna fight vampires like they did for 100-something years.
well, just in
Yep.
case.
And when this happened, I was just like, oh my god, what? And the thing is, like, I'm not opposed to having like 18th century Dracula being the modern setting, and then like part of the whole story is him adapting and having to adjust. The problem being is that you take all of that character development and put it into one episode. You're just like, okay, there's no point. You just wanted to do this because you wanted to do this, you know?
Yeah, I feel like What We Do in the Shadows. I haven't seen it, but it seems. Oh, it seems like a better take on modern vampire than that.
I love What We Do in the Shadows, and I was actually about to bring it up. It is
Hey.
such a fun take on modern day vampires.
That's why I'm the host. I can segue into things I haven't even seen.
So the series, and then there's some crazy shit that happens in this episode. Like for example, Dracula has a lawyer.
I like that.
Okay,
Mm.
here's the thing: Dracula has been in a coffin for 127 years, and he has a lawyer in the modern times.
And he sees a billboard that says, "Are you a vampire? Need a lawyer? Call me."
How do you think he feels about erections lasting longer than 4 hours? Is that just like an inconvenience to him, or is that like 4 minutes?
I probably just like 4 minutes.
Why is this relevant? Wait,
Okay.
what did I miss?
This is always relevant.
So the crazy thing is Dracula literally gets onto the beach, he runs away, hides in the house, and then they track him down and they capture him. This all happens within 24 hours, and they put him in a box that like essentially always has the sun being able to be positioned into it from reflecting mirrors, and it's just basically like it's a vampire proof box, like you can't get out of it.
So this division, as much as we shit on it, is really good.
Yeah.
They're well trained.
And then literally within 24 hours, this guy comes up. And during this time, Dracula's been in this box. It's been like, I'm Dracula's lawyer. Our law firm has been Dracula's lawyer for the past 127 years.
Oh, it's the same lawyer as the past. So just
Like it's the same law firm that he invested in. But it's like, what the like it's and he's just like, you've been trampling on his rights as a person. You can't keep him here.
Oh man,
I would have been like, if anybody was in there, I'd be like, guys,
we gotta start over.
or,
Does
or even just,
Dracula
like,
ever go blah blah blah?
he does.
Okay,
know-
okay. It can't
Alright.
be a 1 out of
I
10,
will say
man.
everything around Dracula I really liked. I liked what the actor did. I thought it was really interesting where the actor was more of a modern type of persona in the 1800s, and that kind of made him stand out from everybody because he's a lot more intelligent, and he was a lot more like aloof to what was happening and blah blah blah. And he was just like, "Oh, I've been around for 800 years. It really doesn't matter. I'm gonna eat you." And it's kind of like terrifying as this thing is a god walking around and it's just like casually strolling up to people and talking to them, kind of deal.
I've watched enough isekai to enjoy that concept.
Yeah.
Basically an isekai.
One thing I really enjoyed too about him was that his fingernails are never clean. They're always like gnarled and like long and everything. But you can tell there's like he hides his hands a lot, so you can't like really tell. You don't realize he's a monster until the hands are already on you, kind of deal.
Dio got me into fingernail painting vampires. That's kind of my aesthetic now, as far as vampires go.
I think their fingernails are painted in What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah, I think so too, from what I've seen.
But like, the last episode literally killed the entire series. Like we talked about a few episodes ago about like endings that kill a series for you. And this was one of them. This last episode was just terrible. Like it just didn't make any sense. And eventually it turns out that like all these things that like he has rules for are because he's afraid of death. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Just make them a thing. Just make them rules. There doesn't have to be an explanation for them.
It's like we already have a mythology for vampires.
Yeah. You don't have to tell me like, oh, well, Dracula's afraid of death, and that's why he can't go out in the sun and be around crosses. That's why he's weak to them. Like that's dumb.
I mean, all humans are afraid of death instinctively.
Yeah, I'm like, no fucking shit, he's afraid of death.
Can we do a one on Castlevania as a segue, just to compensate for this?
I was about to say, like, Castlevania just sounds categorically better than this, and Dracula in Castlevania is fucking rad.
Yeah. Dracula in Castlevania is an S tier character.
Yeah.
Oh man, that show had some great writing and charisma between Alucard and
Trevor and Sophia.
Oh, I love Sophia.
My only complaint is I wish there was like one more episode that like really built out their relationships a little more, that had them doing more stuff together. But
them in the library. Yeah, season 3's confirmed. Them in the library kind of sold me on their relationship.
Mm-hmm.
No, is Dracula going to be continued?
Yes, season 3 is announced.
No, not Castlevania. Dracula.
Oh, we don't talk about that anymore.
I don't know how Dracula can continue because, spoiler alert for a show on Netflix. Dracula dies at the end of the series.
What?
Oh,
in
that's
3 episodes. He dies in 3 episodes.
That doesn't mean anything with Dracula's stories. He'll be back in 100 years, and then it'll be future lawyers. Joe, this sounds like trash, and I think we're good on it.
We're gonna have cyborg Dracula going to court against a pirate.
What if this isn't really Dracula, and it's just part 1 JoJo's prequel setting up for part 2?
It's actually Acme.
It's actually Alucard, and he goes to Egypt, and then a Japanese man needs to go kick his ass.
Yeah. Anyways, I thought I would bring this up because I saw it on Netflix. I tried it out. I was like, I don't think anyone would like this. So I just probably suggest y'all to not watch it unless you kind of want to give yourself a headache for a day.
I really liked this talk. It's a fun change of pace to talk about stuff that's not like our favorite things in the whole world. So
we do it from time to time.
Yeah, this is cool.
If you want vampires, go watch Castlevania or What We Do in the Shadows.
We'll do a proper talk on Castlevania.
I'm trying to think what vampire media I've consumed. JoJo's is probably the closest thing.
Yeah, what is your favorite vampires? I guess I have to go with Dio. He's not very vampire. He's very much his own thing, but I think he's
just pretty vampire. Part 3 Dio's pretty gay.
Yeah, but like a good gay. I mean, all.
I guess one time at Christmas I watched Hotel Transylvania with my family, and I thought I would hate it. Actually thought the movie was fucking hilarious. Really liked that version of Dracula.
That girl in that movie has a bit of a fan base, right?
She sure does.
That has way too much of a fan base.
Right.
I like 2006 Van Helsing because it's really bad.
That was fun. I love that.
It's a fun movie, but it's bad.
It is bad, but it's a fun movie.
I'm trying to think of other vampires.
Dracula
World is a vampire.
Lost Boys, classic.
Oh, D. Greyman is a manga that has a really cool vampire in it.
Wasn't there a movie that came out not too long ago about vampires? And it was like some teenager and his like mom.
I love my mom and her multi-hit bites.
Oh no, Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. That's my favorite.
Oh my god.
I remember that. I didn't watch it.
Oh, do y'all remember 30 Days of Night?
I remember 28 Days Later.
So 30 Days of Night is it was set in Alaska where they have like, their long like month where it's nighttime the entire time.
Vampires can just fucking go ham.
Yeah, a small town just gets like invaded by vampires. And like the vampires are like anime antagonists where like each one has their own like personality and like what they want, and then like what they have like the edgy wild female character, and it was great.
You gotta have one of those.
It was really good.
A story I was writing has a vampire as a prominent character, and
that's a good vampire.
That's my favorite vampire, but that's not fair to say because he doesn't actually exist.
I like the Warhammer vampires.
I bet they're not dumb.
They are not dumb. They're not very dumb at all.
All right, I think vampire talk's good.
No. Two more.
Two more.
Obviously, I think a section of our fan base would be disappointed if we didn't mention the Blade franchise.
Okay. Some motherfuckers always trying to ice skate uphill.
Like Blade is great, and then Fright Night, 2011.
Fright Night.
Anton Yelkin, great actor. Rest in peace.
I don't know that one. Blade's getting like a reboot, right, or whatever.
Yes.
So I posted in our little chat here, the cumulative sentence that explains why my Dracula has those rules, and I think it's pretty dumb.
More like Wackula.
Yeah.
I think that's a good note to leave this off. We will read this off screen.